Hi, my name is Allison. Overall, I was one of those people that when I started to figure out who this Jesus character was, I still considered myself a nice person. Like I gave a rip about other people and I liked to do volunteer things. So there was a part of me that felt like I don't need a Jesus because I'm all right. I'm a happy, nice person. Until I really came to know him and having my life since I've kind of figured out on some level who Jesus is just dramatically different in really rich ways. But before I figured out who Jesus was, I was honestly really turned off by him. I was awkward because I definitely had like tracts handed to me and had, several people in high school that were fairly hypocritical that were doing Jesus-y stuff on one day and then dramatically different stuff on the next day. So I didn't like a lot of the hypocrisy that I saw there. I was very uncomfortable with even just the name Jesus in any talk. I didn't really grow up knowing much of who he was, and I quite honestly didn't know if he actually really existed. Was he a real dude, or is it just some historical figure? And there was a point where I reached in life where I was like, I'm either totally nuts, or there has to be a better way, and I haven't figured it out yet. And so I did everything in my power, from going to see a counselor and at the time I was putting myself through college and working full time. And I quit smoking. I started playing soccer again, and I love nature. I was spending more time just outside, hanging out in the woods, and I was doing everything I could that I could figure out that felt like forward positive movement. And there was still, I remember distinctly this moment, sitting, hanging out in the woods, and I literally was looking around. Like, all this stuff makes me feel like there's a God. But there's still something missing. I don't know what this God looks like. Did he really create all of this beautiful world around me and all these natural things that I really appreciate? But I just remember feeling like a big emptiness, something missing. And I was like, I am ready to figure out what this is. And there was actually an older woman that I knew who said, maybe it's a God hole. And literally, that was one of the most powerful comments I have ever heard in my life, because it kind of connected the emptiness that I couldn't fill with the idea of God. And so from then, I just started seeking out, all right, so what does that look like? Who is this God person? Part of it was there's only so much I realized that I could go and find out on my own. And part of it was I feel like Jesus just coming in and showing me who he was. Hearing other people's around me as I started to talk to more people who were really following this Jesus guy, who were actually real people. They weren't like quiet ladies who sit around and have tea parties, which is some baggage that I kind of assumed that that's what a Christian woman is. They were women who once in a while they actually would cuss, and once in a while they were just real, and they wanted to know my story, and they started loving on me, and they started telling me what Jesus had done in their life. And I'm like, how do I know he's really a person though? How do I really know that he existed? People are saying, hey, why don't you just pray about it? Why don't you just ask God? Like, prayer doesn't have to be this big formulaic, intense thing. Just be like, hey, dude, God, is Jesus real? What does that mean for me? What does that look like? Will you just show me? And so I feel like then people started kind of telling me their stories, and I started to get a bigger picture of Jesus for all these real people around me equaled total life change. My life is so dramatically different in really significant ways. Like, I used to really struggle with anxiety and depression and just have a lot of self-doubt and be really insecure. And although those things aren't just 100% wiped clean now that I believe in Jesus, I just don't struggle. The amount of like peace that I feel now, the amount of you know what? I'm here for a reason. I feel like Jesus is walking through this life with me. Once I really understood, Jesus put himself through the most torturous death possible willingly for me, for Allison. And every single individual can say that. Once I got that, then it started to sink in. That means I'm really valuable. Like, that means that if he's willing to do that just so I can have a relationship with him, that means I'm really worth something. It was a big revelation to understand Jesus is completely invested in who I am. Jesus totally wants to build me up. Anytime I'm hearing like, a bunch of negative things about myself, I know that that is not coming from him and that he's right there with me. Like he wants to hold my hand when I'm nervous about something. He wants to make sure that that I'm okay and that I feel safe and that I feel loved. So once I started to understand those concepts, then yeah, that is absolutely a revolutionary change from some dude that I feel awkward around, who people want to pass me information about, but I still, like, I don't understand and I don't know why he wants to have anything to do with me. It was kind of just that he's for me, he's about me, he wants to hang out with me, he wants to celebrate with me. When I'm really upset, he's right there next to me, like giving me a big hug because he's upset that I'm upset. Once I started to get that, I mean, that just blew my mind because I didn't know any of that.